Modern Warfare 2 version 2022. Let's talk about it. So the 2022 version of Modern Warfare 2 came out in 2022 in October, obviously as it is called the 2022 version. However, it came out in October of 2022, and originally I didn't think I was going to end up playing it because I heard a bunch of negative reviews about the game, the way it plays, some stuff like that. But recently it went on sale in the Microsoft store, so I ended up getting it for my Xbox. Now, overall, I enjoyed the game, but I did have some issues with it. Before we get into anything multiplayer, DMZ, anything like that, let's just talk about the campaign. Now, as a die-hard Call of Duty fan, growing up playing the original Call of Duty games, and just experiencing Call of Duty in a whole different genre and era, and playing through the original Modern Warfare campaign, which I know they've now said is no longer canon, like it wasn't canon back then apparently. But still, growing up playing that, I am disappointed to see like Soap and Gaz and Ghost and Captain Price all have their character designs edited to meet more current standards instead of just leaving them the way they looked in their previous games. Also, I don't like them changing the origin stories of it, and I know it's all edited to fit more modern standards, more correct-ish, so to speak, standards now, but I still prefer the old versions. I prefer the old story with, where you started off as Soap and you got to meet General Shepard when you're going through the training mission at the very beginning, and General Shepard's right there, which you can choose to, unalive him, and he will force you to restart the game. But if you play through to the end of the game and you know what happens at the end of the game, then you kind of like to go back every time you start it and get rid of him at least once or twice. The last time I played through it, I think I shot him 7 times before I actually continued on with the game because he pisses me off. But anyways, so not having that story anymore, not having even General Shepard's look, like he looks so different to what General Shepard looked like in the old version. And I know Call of Duty's changing to meet the new standards, but I don't like to see the Call of Duty I grew up on change so much. So that kind of disappoints me. But if we're talking about quality of the campaign and enjoyment of the campaign, leaving out the war crimes and all that kind of stuff, because obviously, it's Call of Duty, there's a bunch of war crimes. But leaving out all of that kind of stuff, the campaign was a lot of fun to play through. Depending on who you are, it takes about 6 to 10 hours to play through. My favorite mission was probably the Alone mission, where you're playing as, I believe it's Gaz, with Ghost on Overwatch, essentially. And you have to sneak around and find materials and make, improvised weapons, which I really enjoyed. I took my time. I went through the mission really slowly. I found like all the rooms and all the stuff I could. It was a lot of fun to go through that mission. It was my favorite mission of the game. Overall, the graphics look great. I know people on older consoles are having issues with it being a little hazy, where it just doesn't look clean. It doesn't look good because it is rendered. It does say it is rendered for the newer consoles and newer tech. I believe that's what the problem is for those people. So I would say that it's a game that's worth playing just on the campaign alone. Now, paying $70 or $75 or whatever it is, wherever it is, not worth it. I only paid $40 or $45, I think. Not really that bad. But that's just for the campaign. Now, if we get into the multiplayer, it's a lot more fun there too. And I don't want to spoil the campaign too much, as this game has only been out for about 6 or 7 months now, and most people are still going to get this game and play it here shortly, so I don't want to give away too much of the campaign. But the general story of it, following the Mexican basically special forces, having everybody team up to take out these, let's just say, bad people who sneak things through different government lines and into other countries and try and stop these guys. It was a lot of fun to go through and, follow their story. Even though it wasn't the story I grew up on, it was still a good storyline. It was still fun to play through. It was fun to listen to. And I believe, just in general, it was a good campaign. And that's about where I'll leave it, just because I don't want to spoil too much of it. It is a new game. Multiplayer wise, the multiplayer maps feel great. Most of them aren't like overcrowded with stuff. They have a bunch of different lanes and stuff you can get around in, so you don't have like three options. It's not like Vanguard where the maps were too overcrowded with stuff and you're gonna get sick playing it or anything like that. The weapons feel nice, most of that kind of stuff. My biggest complaint with it is, at least in my experience, there's no skill based matchmaking. So I was going in there as like a rank 2 player, fighting like 260, 300, 180, and I was just getting absolutely decimated because they've got all these special attachments on their guns and everything. And I can't even get a shot in to, attempt to level up, much less actually be able to get into a fair fight and have a chance at winning. Which, when the game's only been out for like 6 to 8 months, there should at least be skill-based matchmaking available. Like, it should be an option you could choose to turn on or turn off. Something. And going along that lines, it's not, I don't think it's Call of Duty's fault, but on Xbox at least, if you don't want to play cross-platform, you have to go into your actual Xbox settings to turn it off, which is very frustrating because it hinders a lot of other games where you can just choose to turn crossplay off right away, and then you won't be able to join your friends in certain games. You'll have to get specialized invites and all kinds of hassle just to be able to, turn off the crossplay. Other than that, in the multiplayer, the only real big complaint I have is the way that you unlock and level up guns. Now, this is, if you ignore DMZ and the other game modes, we'll just look at the team deathmatch, search and destroy, capture, prisoner, all that kind of stuff. If you're looking at the gun strictly in that, the frustrating thing about leveling up guns in this game is you have to unlock this gun and level it up to this height or this level to unlock this different unrelated gun to this class at all in order to level up that gun high enough to get a specific attachment for the gun that you were just using, instead of just leveling up the gun that you were using all the way and unlocking all attachments for it. Nope, now you gotta jump to a different class to level up that gun. But to level up that gun, you have to play as a completely different class and level up that class to get that gun to a high enough level that it will unlock the gun that you need to have unlocked and level up to unlock the attachment for the other one. So it's like this really intricate, really stupid maze that forces you to use all of the guns in the game, level all of the guns up, in order to actually be able to have some semblance of competitiveness with other players. And when there's no skill-based matchmaking, it really just feels like you're a sponge absorbing everyone else's bullets. You die like 19, 20 times in a round, and you might get 3 kills if you're lucky. Now, because that's what I ran into, let's talk about the DMZ and stuff like that. So, because I ran into that, I got frustrated with it, and I didn't want to play the multiplayer. So I ran over to DMZ, and I got some buddies, and I jumped into it. And then along the way, I ended up not being able to play with them anymore. So I just joined some random matches, and I met some friends on there, and I made friends with random DMZ players. Now, the only thing that I'll say bad about DMZ is there's a lot of power-hungry, kill-hungry DMZ players. So there's people in there who grind the crap out of the game. And because there's no skill-based matchmaking in the game, again, even in DMZ, there are people who will just sit there and farm player kills instead of bot kills. So you might be jumping on your helicopter about to extract, and these people who are max level with really special weapons and, super good time to kill will just come in there and slaughter you on your helicopter like 3 seconds before you're about to exfil. Super frustrating. I cannot stand that exists. It is so frustrating to deal with. In other games, that's not how it works. Games like Vigor and, just some other games like that, where as soon as you complete the stuff you have to do to exfil, you just get to exfil. You don't have to wait to take off. You don't have to hope you don't get slaughtered as your aircraft very slowly takes off or as your boat's about to leave dock or something like that. So that really, really, really frustrates me because that is the single greatest reason why I can't stand to play DMZ anymore. Is because I get slaughtered on the helicopter on the way out. Like literally sitting in the helicopter as it's taking off, someone runs up, jumps in, and slaughters my whole crew. Super frustrating. But with the proximity chats and things like that, sometimes you'll run into other players and you can kind of like team up and squad up. It's a lot of fun to play it that way. And it is a really good way to unlock and level up weapons because if you exfil with weapons that you haven't unlocked yet, it automatically unlocks them for you. So it is a good way to unlock the other guns for multiplayer. Plus, sitting there and killing a bunch of AI levels up your guns really fast, unlocks the attachments for it. So it's a super easy way to unlock guns and to level up guns. And then when you go back to multiplayer, it's not as bad of a slaughter and it makes multiplayer a lot more fun. Now, there are some other matches and methods and stuff like that you can do as well, like some of the raids and stuff like that. I personally enjoy a bunch of the co-op versions of the game where you can just sit there with your team and like infiltrate, find the nuclear material and exfil, where you can go into the flooded tunnels and you can go on a raid where you just go in quiet, take out the enemies, try and capture the information you need and some stuff like that, and then get out. I love that. It's fun. So there are a bunch of different options here. The multiplayer has a lot of replayability to it. The campaign doesn't really have replayability, but it was fun. So it's not like it's a campaign I wouldn't play again. So overall, the way the game is now, I would definitely say it's worth getting and worth playing. It is fun. It is enjoyable. Just know that you're probably going to get swamped if you just jump into DMZ alone, or even sometimes with randos. So try and make friends with the randos that you jump in with. Know that in multiplayer, you're probably going to get wiped if you're a noob, like at least with noob guns anyways. So spend some time fighting bots or something maybe. Figure out what guns do what, how fast of a time to kill they have, figure out how well they handle and perform, and figure out what guns you like before you just jump into multiplayer, and it'll make it a lot more enjoyable of an experience.